Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending what time zone you are. Now we are going to talk about how we are tracking COVID-19 exposures in Finland. My name is Helskyaho. People know me as Heli from Finland because I do come from Finland. I have graduated from University of Helsinki with a master's degree in computer science and currently working on my doctoral studies that are related to data and machine learning. I've been working with Oracle products since 1993. And everything I have done during my career is something to do with data and databases, because I find that very interesting. I'm a CEO for Miracle Finland, which is a small consulting company in Finland, and the main character behind the application I'm going to talk about today. I am an Oracle ACE Director and an Oracle Groundbreaker Ambassador. I have been listed as one of the top 100 influencers on IT sector in Finland 5 years in a row, and I'm very proud about that. I'm a public speaker. Finns are known to be very quiet, but I go to 20 plus events every year to speak. I do believe in sharing knowledge, and this is the reason I do this. I'm also an author. I have written 2 books and currently working on my third one. The first book is about database designing, and the second one I have co-authored with 4 other people about SQL and PLC. Today's topic is a web page called altistumiset.fi. Altistumiset means exposures. It's a Finnish word for exposures. So altistumiset.fi is a web page for everybody to go and see how exposures are, what's the situation with exposures in Finland. This is from the front page where you can see as a heat map what cities in that area are having most exposures. Red color showing the most exposures. There are also cities in this area that has none at all, and then cities that have some. The situation can change very rapidly, and that's why this map is quite useful to show when things are changing. Exposures often means new infections as well. So, what is all this about? This website gives an individual person a possibility to actively go and check if there is a chance for him or her to be exposed to COVID-19. This is, of course, not a list of all the places, but we try to keep it as accurate as we can. So we try to collect all possible public places where exposures are possible. So this is a good tool on top of everything else to be aware what's going on. It's also a database of exposures. This is a unique thing, at least as far as I know, because we don't have such database in Finland, except this one. Because of this unique data we are also able to do analysis nobody else is not able to do, because we are able to combine the data of exposures to the data of something else, publicly available data. So in the fight against COVID-19, I think this web page and this database is very important. One of the pages we have is Where You Hear. Where You Hear is for everybody to go and check if there's been any exposures in those places you usually go or you have been to. You can go and check uh, um, uh, hospital restrict and the city inside that hospital area. And then maybe you want to just check restaurants or you want to check schools or public places in general. You can go here and filter out the information you are interested about. So this is for anybody to go and check if those places that I go to have been exposed to COVID, and has it been exposed to the times that I have been there. So how did it all started? Well, there was a blog where a person was publishing this information. Blog is not a place to analyze data, so the same data had to be stored in Excel for analysis. So there was actually, you had to store the same data twice to be able to both publish and to be able to analyze it. And I'm sure we all agree that blog and Excel are not the best places or the best tools for data. Database is the place for data, not a blog, not an Excel. So it didn't work very well when there were more exposure cases. When there were just one or two, it did work, but when exposures were growing, this didn't work anymore. So late in one evening, I got a Twitter message, a private message from an ex-colleague saying, "Do you know anybody who could help?" They were already getting desperate because the number of cases was growing rapidly. My reply was, "Let me sleep and I will think until the morning and I will get back to you." So I can't answer now. I'm too tired to think, but I will get back. The rest is history. I woke up in the morning and I had the solution in my head how to do this. And 10 working days later, September 25th, we were already in production with this web page and the database and everything here. Who is working on this? Well, there are people who are collecting and inserting data. These people are real Sherlock Holmes. They investigate, they find more information, they make sure that all the data is correct and double checked. They call places, they read articles, they investigate in so many ways. They are extremely thorough and very systematic. Just have to admire these people. It's amazing. Then we have people who are analyzing the data, building all kind of analyses and even sometimes predictions what's going to happen, but mostly analyzes what is going on now. And then people like me who are building and maintaining this application. I'm leading the team, and there are other people as well who are helping to build this application. It's not a big team, but enough to be able to build it in 10 days. All people here are volunteers. So all these people feel that this is worth doing without being paid for it. Using your skills for something common good that you are not paid for. And another limitation is that there is no budget. And this is why people are working volunteer basis. There is no money and there is no budget. So what technology is used? So I already mentioned that there is no budget. What technology can be used without budget? Oracle free tier. This is something that came to my mind when I was sleeping and thinking if I could help on this project. During my sleep, I realized I could use Oracle free tier. In my presentations, when I've been telling about Oracle free tier, people often ask me, can I use it for production? And I say, yes, theoretically, there is no licensal reason not to use it for production, but I would not use it because limitations and because of not having support. But in this case, I was thinking this is the only option because we need solution that will have, first of all, a place to have all this. We will need a database. We will need an application, some kind of tool for building applications, and we probably need maps. So I was thinking Oracle Free Tier actually offers all these for free because we can use Oracle Autonomous Transaction Processing Database, ATP, for storing the data. We can use Oracle Application Express, APEX, for low code application building because the schedule was very tight. We already knew when we started that we are late. The cases were growing rapidly, and those people inserting the data and analyzing it were not coping very well anymore. So we knew the time is the biggest limitation here, so we need to build it fast. Uh, Spatial has been free in the Oracle database since December 2019. So we knew we would be able to use spatial. And then I learned that Oracle Map Service can be used for free from Apex if you use the APIs. If you use it as a service by itself, you need to pay the license. But if you use it from Apex through the APIs, you don't have to. So that kind of covered everything we needed when we started. Of course, we also have a load balancer and we have ORCs as well. But the set we got for free from the Oracle free tier cloud was actually just what we needed and for free. So how is it built? We have one database, the ATP, for storing our data. Well, being honest, we have another cloud as well, which is the testing environment. But now I'm talking about the production. So because we can't build without testing, we have a lot of users, and if we break the system in production, there's well, I broke it once when we didn't have the test environment yet, and in 10 seconds we got a lot of complaints already. So I don't want to break the production. So we have the test environment and we have the production environment. So we have one database for all the data, and we have two applications. We have one application for inserting and maintaining the data. This application is with authentication, so only our uh, people that have credentials to the system are able to use this part of the application. Then we have another application that is for everybody to see the data and to see the analysis that we have built. This one works without any authentication. And because of GDPR, we've been very strict with not storing any personal data in our database. So there is no data about people in our database, about users or any other people. I was thinking I will show you briefly how this application works or how these applications work. I will start with the inserting and maintaining application to show you how the data is stored in the database and how things are maintained. Then I will show you the application everybody can go and see, and I encourage you to go and see it as well. And it's improving every day. But let's see first how to insert and maintain the data. So this is the application for inserting and maintaining the data. These are the main functionalities: insert data, maintain data. And these are what our Sherlock Holmes people use for getting our database up to date all the time. There's also other functionalities that they have in the application. So there's classification. You can insert new classification types here. Classification means like restaurant, primary school, um, hobby, kind of hobby activities, church, that kind of things. There's also feedback. So in the application, people can insert feedback, and this is where our people can go and check it and then act based on whatever the feedback is. The feedback has been very valuable for us because then we understand better what people would like to see in this application. So feedback has been a very valuable feature. Another extremely valuable feature that we added not too long ago is missing cases. So people realize that something they know about in their area is missing from our database. So they can insert information about it for us to fill in the system. So they insert the information they know, and we go and check that everything is correct and true, and we insert it in our database. One thing that we do here is we upload all kind of graphs and analyses in the application. Graphs and analyses about the situation today. And this is the place where you can upload graphs you have built with other tools as images here in our application. And you can also enter descriptions for those. We have two different kind of images now at the moment. Things will change, of course. Everything changes here based on whatever we figure out that should be better. And now we have the starting page where you can see the current situation. It has a set of pictures, a set of images and descriptions about the current situation. And then we have a history site here where you can go and check how things have been during the past days. And that usually have more images, more graphs, and more analyses than the front page. But this is the tool for our analysts to upload the analyses in a website. Then we also have administration. In administration, our people can go and check number of users, for instance, or add new people in the system and so on. So this is all kind of administrative tasks. And then we have one screen for them to go and check if the case that they are going to insert is already in the system. It makes their life easier to check it through a very efficient system, so they don't have to go and check it very complicated. So this is fine-tuned for them to check if that case is already in the system. So this is very briefly how our inserting and maintaining system works. And so this is the one that is only for authorized users and only seen by them. This is altistumiset.fi, the web page that anybody can go to. When you enter the page, the first thing is you see the rules. So what are the rules for using this particular website? It tells like you are not allowed to copy this data without permission, and we can't guarantee that all the data is correct because COVID situation is changing and data is changing as well. So if we say that there were 5 people exposed, it can be changed 2 days later to 10 people or something else. And it's not always the latest information we have here. Also, we might be missing some exposure cases because we don't have information about it, or we are still investigating it and we can't be sure that it's really a true case. So we need to be sure before we can publish it, and so on and so on. So with these rules, we try to explain people the situation about the rules, how to use it, and the rules about the data. At the moment, we ask you to check this every time because we don't even want to have cookies about people's um, signing this because we don't want to have any data about people in our system. This probably will change in the future, but now this is the situation. So when you enter the page, the first thing is you will see the current situation. This is a map showing a heat map from the past 21 days, yesterday and 21 days from yesterday, showing what are the areas with most cases of exposures. Now we can see there's two spots in Finland that are the biggest cases at the moment. You can go and deep dive to see in more details what are we talking about, what is going on here. Also in the front page, you will see some um, analysis of today's situation. There are graphs built by our analytic person, a statistician, and explanation about the graph as well. So this is still in Finnish. The graph is in English, so you might make some sense with that, but the explanation is now only in Finnish. So this page has 1 to 8 images depending on the situation today, how many pictures or images we need to describe the situation, but it will never have more than 8 because this is just a quick look how we are doing today. So there are different kind of graphs from different perspectives of COVID situation in Finland, using different kind of charts and showing different kind of things. Here it says that the most rapid epidemia now is in Åland, which looks bad today. But tomorrow it could be something completely different because the situation changes very, very fast. But the idea of this front page is to show what is the situation today. The whole thing started with schools. So when they started collecting the data to the block, it started with collecting school data. So how are schools exposed to COVID? Since we started collecting data, there's been 461 schools exposed. So this is not students, this is number of schools. So 461 schools in Finland has been exposed to COVID. During the past 30 days, it's been 283 schools, and the past 7 days, 68 schools. You can query here to find just something that you are interested in. Like in my case, I'm interested in schools in Helsinki area. You will see the city. What kind of school is it? This is elementary school. What is the name of the school? When did it happen? And do we have any more detailed information about it? What's the day when it was in the news? And the link to the main media describing what happened. We have a lot of links about each of these cases, but this will show the most important place to read about it. So you can just go and see what kind of schools in your area have been exposed to COVID. And here you can see the next page if there's more than just the 10 that we show on this page. Because graphs tell so much more than just data, we have a lot of graphs here. So this one on the left-hand side is showing for each week since we started how many of these schools are elementary schools, how many are secondary schools, how many are other kind of schools, and how many are universities. If you want to, you can also show it in different way like this, or you can put it as a stack like this. If you don't want to see how something affects, you can just remove it from the graph, the chart, or you can add it back. So there's a lot of things you can do with one simple graph to make it look more readable for yourself. This graph or chart on the right hand side is showing our different hospital districts, hospital areas. So the same thing again, different kind of schools, different level of schools, and how they have been exposed in different hospital areas. This is the capital area and probably the reason for it to be the biggest bar here. And also, if you see the previous one, that shows that the blue one is always the biggest. The blue is elementary school. Elementary schools have been open since August, and the universities have been closed. So probably one reason for them to be different scales. And also universities, of course, might have less students as well as we have in elementary school. Then there's another chart showing these different schools, uh, university, elementary school, based on cities. So here you can just change. If you don't want to see some of the cities in the chart, you can remove them from the chart and so on. And you can also see it horizontally if you want to. Of course, this is a little bit difficult to read because we have so many cities, but this is something that people would like to see when they want to compare their home city to other cities. This pie shows elementary schools is quite big portion of our exposures compared to other schools. This is universities, other schools, secondary schools. So another way of seeing things based on the different kind of schools. You can also see all exposures, not just schools, but also other exposures from here. So there's been any kind of exposures in Finland, 1,325 since we started collecting the data. During the past 30 days, there's been 860. And during the past 7 days, 177. In this page, you can filter using the faceted search. The facet you can use, let's say I take the capital area, and I will take just Helsinki, and I will take public transportation. And here I can see all kind of exposures that has been put under category of public transportation. There's buses, boats, trains, and so on. And I can go and check if I have been on that boat or on that bus or on that train or whatever it is. Or I can go and check kindergartens. Oops. Kindergartens in the area and see what are the kindergartens that we have had cases lately. If I want to add also Espoo area here, this is what I can do. So being able to search based on different criteria is the key here to know where we have had exposures. Again, we have charts to explain. This chart will show exposures in different places. Blue one showing previous month and green one showing current month. As you can see, the situation doesn't look very good now. The only thing that looks better here is private situations or private events. So probably people are getting smarter and not organizing private events anymore because they know it's been a risky thing to do. So sometimes we even have good news when we go in the data here. The next chart shows different places as percentages of exposure cases. Here I can see 20% is primary school, 18 restaurants, and so on. If I don't like pie charts, I have the same information here as a bar chart. Elementary schools, restaurants, hobbies, secondary schools, shops. If I want to see the past 14 days, it looks a bit different because here the start is the same. We have elementary school and restaurants, but then we have shops. So shops has been growing, and then we have hobbies. The reason that the secondary schools are going lower here is that probably some of the secondary schools has gone remotely. So that's probably the reason they are not so high in the list anymore. So being able to see the past 14 days here compared since we started collecting data might be quite useful to see how uh, the behavior of people or restrictions or whatever has changed the situation. Something that is most important is where you hear, as I mentioned earlier. So this is the place where you can go and check if a place you typically go or a place you were last week has been exposed. We try to publish these as soon as possible, but sometimes it takes a bit longer for information to come out. People are a little bit afraid to tell that they have had exposures, which I find strange because if you have exposures, you have to tell it immediately so people know to be careful. For example, if I want to see the Vasa area, the Vasa city, and I want to see the restaurants in the area, I can go and check what restaurants have been exposed. This is very useful. For some people, the most useful page in this application. A lot of people prefer having images and not data like this. And for those people, we have maps. There's three different kind of maps. The first one is very detailed, goes to the point of exposure. You can search by dates. The default is the past 21 days. The red one showing something that has happened um, no more than 8 days ago. And then we can see here that 299 cases in Helsinki area, 227 in Vaasa area, 14 in Oulu, 25 in Rovaniemi, and these blue ones show something that happened more than 8 days ago. If I want to go and see more detail, I can always go deeper and see what's going on here and find a point. Well, we'll see this one. This is an older one, but anyway. So this tells about a school that was that is in Espoo, and there's the address and there's description what happened there. So you can see all the details about whatever happened. Also here is the school, 110 exposed, and so on. So this goes to the detailed level. The other map only goes to the zip code level. So in each zip code area, we have picked the center point of the zip code area, and all the exposure ACs will go to that particular spot so that we can show it in red if it's a lot of number of cases there. Like here, Vasa area looks quite red. We can go to details in there to see what's going on. Where is this exposure? Uh, the, the, the heatest place, where is it? The warmest place, the hottest place. You can go to quite a detailed level here to see the zip code area. Uh, Actually here, the area, the red one, is an area with a lot of restaurants. And in this particular case, restaurants were the way of getting exposed rate quite high. In different cases, it's a different place, but here it happened to be. It started with some university students, and it was spread through restaurants and so on. Then we also have a city heat map. That doesn't go to the zip code level. There's only one spot in each city that we put the heat on. In Vasa, it's here. So it's counted based on the buildings and so on. So it's one particular spot in the city that will show uh, how big is the exposure in the area. Let's see a bit further to see how it looks like. Again, Helsinki area and Vasa area seems to be the biggest hotspots. Now, past 21 days, by the way, the default here is 21 days, the past 21 days. uh, Something that is very useful for us is report a missing case. So the users can report a missing case using this page. They can tell here when it happened, give a link to the news where it's explained. They can tell in detail where it happened, and they can tell whatever they know about this case. And they can also use some kind of name tag to always report with the same pseudo name, because what we are thinking to do is some kind of leaderboard that we will tell who are the biggest supporters of our data, bringing out more information about missing cases. So this is how they can get to the leaderboard. This is very valuable for us because this comes as a draft for a new case in our system. And then our Sherlock Holmes people will go and investigate this. And if it's a true case, they will insert more data about it and they will publish it. If it's a fake case, they will just delete it. Ilkka's analysis is one of our new features. So here are the same graphs we already saw in the front page, plus more. So here Ilkka can download as many graphs as he wants. I said in the front page it's going to be 1 to 8 pictures. Here it can be as many as needed. Like here on the 24th, Ilkka has uploaded here 29 images to describe the situation on that day. So here we keep the history, and you can always go and check what was the situation a week ago or a month ago and so on. So this is probably something that is for many people very valuable to know. In the system I already mentioned, we have the feedback. This is where people can give their feedback. And from here, they can contact us, they can read about, and they can read the rules again. So what were the rules for using this application, actually? So this is a very brief explanation what can be done with this application. And every day something new shows up here. I hope the demo was useful and you now understand a little bit better what we've been doing and what this application is for and the database is for. But what do people think about this application? The first 24 hours, we had 100,000 visits on the web page, which I find a huge number. At the time, we only told about it in Twitter. So Twitter was the only marketing tool for us. Then some newspapers, magazines, and finally even news told about us. And what happened was that we had 600,000 visits per day. This was the day when the Finnish news told about us. And country of 5.5 million people, 600,000 of those decide to go to this webpage in one single day. I think it's an incredible number. This is such a big number. I was never expecting anything like this. And what makes it even crazier was that a lot of those people actually came there between 10 and midnight because after the news. What we are planning to do next is translations in English. This is a simple task, but for us it takes a little bit longer because we want to be sure the translations are correct and so on. And we have a volunteer person for that as well, translating everything for us. We want to build a leaderboard to show the big supporters of our data. We want to add more charts based on the feedback we get. So there's a lot of valuable charts that we haven't published yet and then we are planning to. We are going to announce frequently asked questions. Even though it is a simple uh, application to use, there's a lot of tips and hints we should give people and explain how to use it. So this is something we plan to publish quite soon. We are going to upload more data, different kind of data, to be able to analyze more broadly and having real-time analytics. So when all the data is in the database, we are able to do things automatically and real time. And personally, what I'm hoping for is to have machine learning in the database. So being able to use machine learning to predict and maybe do something even cooler than that, who knows? So something I really hope for when we have more data that we will be doing. So Oracle Machine for Learning for SQL has been free to use in the Oracle database since December 2019. So definitely something that we could be using. And a lot of things that we are already planning to do for the application. Well, it's only a problem with time, not a problem with money because we don't have money. It's only a problem of time when we are able to do these things and much more. So the conclusion, I am really happy and proud that I was able to be part of this project and I still am. So a project where I can use my professional skills for something so good for the whole country and for the whole community has been very rewarding. So if you have a motivation to do something, you can do anything. And I think this project proves it very clearly. As well as that, if you have volunteer people involved, the power of volunteer people is huge. They can do so many things because since they are volunteering, they are motivated to do whatever they are doing. It's been fantastic to see how motivated these people have been. What surprised me a lot was that Oracle Free Tier can handle 600,000 activities per day. And as I mentioned, almost 300,000 of those was between 10 and midnight. When the news came out and people heard about the web page, they rushed there. It, the web page, database, everything worked. It became slow, but it worked. And I think that is amazing for something that is free and limited in resources. And even though it would be any kind of paid environment, 300,000 users in about 2 hours is a lot. So this project also proved that you can do a lot without any budget. So if you don't have money to do things, you shouldn't just say you're not going to do, because you can still do a lot of things. It's not all about money. Sometimes it's just about being willing to do something. So you can do a lot to help your community if you just want to. If you choose to help your community, you can do a lot. That's what we did. We chose we will be helping our community because we believe in information. We believe if you know more, you scare less. If you don't know, you are afraid. So we wanted to share information and data to people so that they don't have to worry. They know where we go. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions, I'm happy to answer. And you will find me from Twitter if you have further questions. Thank you.